The win means nothing. It was rubbish. It was pathetic. Another awful Rangers display. The comments from the Happy Clap loyal in our fan base, who are a big part of what is wrong with this football club for accepting mediocrity, laughable. And Russell Martin's comments, an absolute joke. He's still got to go. Catch you on the other side. Welcome, guys. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is your Rangers news update. Look, Rangers did win yesterday. Congratulations to the boys, obviously getting a victory. It was 2-1. It was Livingston. And I've got to say, the celebrations by Russell Martin and his coaching staff when Max Aaron scored were laughable, were genuinely laughable. To celebrate like that, scoring a 94th minute winner against Livingston is a joke. If that had been a 94th minute winner against Borussia Dortmund in a Europa League semi-final or in a Champions League final or in a Europa League final or a cup final, I can get it. But it's the league and it's Livingston, a team we should be annihilating, a team we should be beating easily and not struggling to beat. And this shows another bit of proof that this man genuinely does not understand this football club and does not get it. The guy is absolutely out of his depth. He is probably, I would say, in the history of the club, the worst manager we have ever had. And I would place Michael Beale, I would place Pedro Caixinha, I'd place Paul Le Guen, all as better managers than this manager. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say the awful football that we watched under Michael Beale was better than what we are watching under this absolute clueless Poundland Pep. The guy is he's gone. He's just lost it. And one thing I want to do was say, there is an element within the fan base who I genuinely don't get. I'd call them the Happy Clap loyal. They would happy clap anything. They genuinely would happy clap anything. And you've got some of them commenting today, oh, Martin's going to turn it around. Martin's the man. Martin's showing first heart, whatever. Jesus, guys, you need to go and check yourself in for some mental health help at your local GP surgery or your local mental health clinic, because you are just unhinged. And you are, by saying this and by being the way you are, this is to the Happy Clap loyal, you are a fundamental part of what is wrong with our football club at this moment in time. People like you are what are holding back our football club. So please sort yourselves out. Please go and get help. The NHS is free. You can go and find your local GP, find your local mental health clinic, go and have a little chat and sort yourselves out, because quite clearly you have something mentally wrong with you. But as for the manager, I've got to say, I listened to and read his post-match comments. Yes, unfortunately, I have to, because of doing this. You kind of have to do it, whether you want to or not. I must say, he makes my skin crawl. He makes my flesh crawl. He makes me want to throw up when I listen to him. He is an arrogant, narcissistic, vegan dickhead. He really genuinely is an absolute vile little human being who needs to go. Now, he comes out with comments like, I saw some real performances out there. Where? What was he watching? Was he watching the Arsenal-Newcastle game? What was he watching? Because he wasn't watching our game. In terms of real performances out there, you'd actually struggle to find players who did put in real... I mean, Jack Butland, yes. Jack Butland, obviously, put in a good performance. Butland was great. Saves, keeps us in the game. Couldn't do anything about their goal. Fair play to Butland. The save in the first 10 minutes of the game keeps us in that game, stops us from going 1-0 down. He pulls off another save later in the second half. He kept us in the game. So fair play, Jack Butland. Performance. Connor Barron, I thought, was good. Worked really, really hard. Was a little pit bull in there. But other than that, I'll be honest with you. Yes, Tav scores the goal and does all right, but it wasn't a fantastic Tav performance. Suter and Cornelius were poor. Magoma was scared to tackle. Raskin was okay, don't get me wrong. He wasn't terrible, wasn't brilliant, was okay. Thelo Asgard, I genuinely don't get Thelo Asgard. The guy is a one-pace, one-trick League One dobber. He's genuinely dreadful. A waste of a jersey, a passenger. I'd play Bayrami over him, I really would, and Bayrami's not great, but he's better than Thelo Asgard. Asgard just is useless, absolutely useless. Not so much Asgard as Asda, more, I think, more like that. Thelo Asda, I think it'll be a better name for him. I thought Ant-Man was dreadful, although I did see Ibrox News give him 9 out of 10 and say he was amazing. I thought he was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Gassama was okay. Miovski was poor. There was nobody out there that stood out. So to say there was some real performances out there, it does beg a kind of ask what game he was watching. And then he comes out with the comment that we were brilliant first half. Were we? Were we really? Because the first 10 minutes of that game, 10, 15 minutes of the game, Livingston were the better team on the park. So that narrows you down to 25 to 35 minutes. So for 25 to 35 minutes, we played better, yes, but we weren't brilliant. If that's what you think is brilliant, Russell Martin, you've got an issue. You've got problems because that's not brilliant. That's not brilliant football. That was slow. It was boring. It was turgid. It was a dire watch. It was the wrong football to play against a team like Livingston. There was no aggression. There was no speed of thought, speed of possession, speed of play. There was just genuinely nothing. I mean, this guy really is the Poundland Pep, isn't he? And I think that's still insulting to Pep Guardiola to call him the Poundland Pep. He's more like the Poundland, I don't know, Poundland Russell Hockaday or whatever that guy was called, or Dave Hockaday, the guy who was manager for Leeds for about 100 days, or the Poundland Steve Cottrell, I think, is the better word for him. He really is honestly, you listen to him and you genuinely think that there's something wrong with him. That he that he is mentally deluded or just unhinged. I mean, he genuinely isn't right in the head. You listen to his comments and you say, you actually start to feel sorry for him that he's obviously ill because he doesn't understand what he's saying. He's like your senile old granddad, isn't he? Sitting watching the telly, go, well, it was better back in my day. Go down the pictures, get some chips and a beer, and still have change from £1. And random things. Turn it up. I can't hear it. Turn it up. He's almost as senile as that. He really is. He genuinely is losing the plot. I genuinely think so. And his comments were just beggared belief. They absolutely beggared belief. If he thinks that's brilliant, you've got to really worry. You've got to genuinely worry. And what's frustrating to some degree is that win probably buys him another couple of weeks. And then you've got the two old blokes from the Muppet Show, effectively Stewart and Thelwell, sitting up in the stand looking nonplussed throughout the entire game, who are willing to sanction this. In fact, I'd rather have the two old blokes from the Muppet Show running the football club, because I think they probably do a better job than Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. I mean, to be honest with you, Parag Marathe, genuinely Parag, you've got to do something, mate, because this club is heading south faster than anything. And what's the frustrating thing for me, guys, is this is a cycle that's going to continue. We'll probably lose to Sturm Graz on Thursday. We'll probably get a draw against Falkirk or lose to Falkirk, and then the pressure's back on again. He then probably will win his next game and he'll survive again. And it's going to be this constant cycle of lose, draw, win, lose, draw, win, lose, draw. And it's going to be a cycle where and what's frustrating for me is that you look at the league this season, and I'd argue that Hearts have actually got a real opportunity to win the league this season if they stay consistent this year and play as they've been playing at the start of the season. With Celtic been poor, and Celtic are poor. This is not just my anti-Celtic bias here. This is a genuine belief. Celtic are bad this season. They're not a good team. Hearts could actually win the league this season because we're poor. We're poor. We're appalling. We're poor. We're so bad. And what's frustrating is if we'd actually hired a proper manager, a real manager, not some, Poundland PE teacher, then we actually could look like we could actually win the league. If we'd hired Marco Rosa, Kevin Muscat, Steven Gerrard, Nuno Espirito Santo, the list goes on. David McInnes. Hey, what a surprise that would have been. We'd actually win the league this season. I genuinely believe we'd walk the league this season. The players we've got aren't that bad. It's the manager. Yes, there are some players on that squad that aren't great. Don't get me wrong. There's still some very bad footballers in that team. I mean, Mikey Moore been the prominent one. I had such an argument with a Spurs fan last night, telling me that Mikey Moore was the best player in our team. I mean, quite clearly Spurs, it tells you a lot about why Spurs are where they are and why Spurs will always be in the shadow of Arsenal, doesn't it? But, overall, we've got a squad that could win the league, but we've got a manager who, couldn't even win a prize in a primary school tombola where every ticket wins a prize. He's genuinely that bad. He's got to go. And I don't understand the ownership prolonging this agony, because we know what's going to happen. We'll lose to Sturm Graz on Thursday. We'll draw or maybe scrape a win against Falkirk, and then he's saved again for another couple of weeks. Then we'll lose, and then he'll scrape and then draw and then scrape. And it's going to go on. And it's not getting any better. The football is so bad. It's so bad. My stepson was watching the game last night. He doesn't watch a lot of Scottish football. He's an English football fan. And he said to me, this is boring, and walked off and went to play PlayStation. Wish I could have gone with him. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. As always, guys, please obviously smash the like, comment, share on the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.